Hi, I'm Lucy from Designs for Growth. Today I want to show you one of my favorite design functionalities in Squarespace. It's the section divider. So this is a relatively new functionality, and I love it because it means that I have been able to do away with uploading images with transparent backgrounds to try and make a sort of an interesting divider between the different sections on a page. Now we can do it directly within Squarespace. So let's jump straight in. So I'm just on a standard Squarespace page here, a template page. I have clicked on edit up here, top left, to get it into the editor. So what we want to do with the section dividers is add an interesting shape between sections. So sometimes it can look a little bit, a little bit boring when, particularly if you're using background colors in each section, to just for the page to jump from, each of your colors in your palette, for example, with a kind of a dead straight line in between, or a dead straight divider between your background image and maybe the background color of the next section. So the section dividers allow us to make this a little more interesting, a little more fun. So what we want to do, if we take this top section here, and let's say we want to add a divider between the top section and the bit that follows. So in this section, as you can see, we have a background image. In this section, we just have a background color, which is one of the colors from my palette. It's my lightest color in my palette. So to create the divider between the two sections, you go to the upper section and you click on Edit Section. If we go to Background, we don't need to go to background. If we just scroll down here, when we're in the first little menu that opens up, the format menu, if you click on divider, straight away, it will make a suggestion. So we have this kind of funky diagonal divider here. And you have the option you can change that, the shape and look at that. But before we do that, you have the option to add a stroke if you want. So a stroke means basically an outline. If I use the burgundy in my color palette, you'll see there that I have a burgundy stroke, or I can have a blue stroke. I can make the thickness of the stroke small, medium, or large. And then I have other options. If I want to get like super thick, I can play with that. Or we can say, actually, we don't want a stroke at all. Or you can have a dashed stroke, which is also interesting. And you can play around with the thickness and so on of that. So I'm just going to turn off the stroke for now. And let's say we like, okay, yeah, this is kind of nice, but what other options have we got instead of this jagged line? So if I click on this here, you can see up here, I've all sorts of options. So we can have a straight line, which didn't really seem to do anything. This is what I was looking for. We can have a curved line like this, a kind of an arc. You can have this sort of rounded rectangle, if you like. On either side, we have these rounded rectangles. You can have a diagonal line. You can have a sort of a sloping curve. You can have a wavy one, which I use on my own website quite a bit. Then you back to this jagged one, or this kind of arrow one, which I quite like for sort of dragging the eye down the page, sort of encouraging people to scroll. That's quite nice. Now, again, within each of these settings, you can, first of all, so if I go back to the arrow, if I flip it, the arrow will point in the other direction. If I take a curvy line and I flip that, you'll see that the curve goes up on the other side. You can play with alignment. Ooh, you can do all sorts of things. You can play with the height, which is now is a really wavy one. And again, you can do all sorts of fun stuff with this. This one is nice, actually. That's with a large height, but you can have a medium height. And then you can do things like this. Or like this, if you wanted a more fun divider. So, I mean, obviously your divider needs to be on brand. So the sort of shapes and patterns and so on that you're using as part of your visual identity need to tie in, obviously, with these different settings. But there's a lot of fun options here, and so I just wanted to show that to you. You can play around with it. There's all sorts of things you can do. So if you are creating new pages on your site, now I wouldn't recommend just having one page with one of these on it. You know, if you're going to use dividers, I would use them, you know, consistently about your site. So let's just leave that one there for now. And I just want to show you what happens if I change the color of the subsequent or the following section, the background color. If I go in here and choose my green, well, obviously that's going to bleed up into my divider. So basically, any sort of empty space, if you like, or negative space in your divider takes the color. It's the same color as the background color of the next section. I'm just going to go back to my kind of off-white. And then if you have two sections that follow each other and they both have the same background color, let's just see what happens if we turn on the divider here. Well, kind of nothing because both sections have the same background color. So in this instance, it's by using the stroke functionality that you can get the divider to work. Otherwise, you just have sort of cream going into cream. So your divider isn't going to show unless you turn on the stroke. So that makes sense. What else? Okay, so something to bear in mind is that this does not work on blog pages, because at the moment blog pages are still using the classic editor. So this is 7.1 Fluid Engine. 7.1 website blog pages are not yet using Fluid Engine, so you don't have these you don't have the same layout possibilities. If I just create a blog page here and just a standard blog, I'll just pick any one of these. There's my blog. If I go into any of these posts, you'll see that we're using the old editor where we're adding blocks one by one. So it's the original editor. It's not Fluid Engine. And likewise, I don't have page sections here, so I can't use the divider, or you wouldn't obviously use divider between individual blocks on the page. So just bear that in mind. Or if you're on Squarespace 7.0, I don't think you have this option either. Pretty sure it's Squarespace 7.1 only. If you're still on Squarespace 7.0, it might be time to consider an upgrade because there's lots happening in 7.1 and Fluid Engine, and I think a lot of those functionalities are not trickling down into 7.0. So anyway, that's for another day. I hope you found that useful, and yeah, have fun with your page dividers. Yeah, any questions, look me up, send me a DM, drop me an email, be happy to help. Thanks.